Are you fed up with the packaging waste and rubbish piling up?
And is the packaging film or the wrappers taking up too much of your time to open?
We have just the solution for you. Edible packaging material.
At the grocery store, most foods come wrapped in plastic packaging. Not only does this create a lot of waste, but thin plastic films are not great at preventing spoilage. To address these issues, scientists are now developing a biodegradable film made of milk proteins. And you can eat it, to boot. Led by Peggy Tomasula, the team at the U.S. Department of Agriculture developed an environmentally friendly film made of the milk protein casein. These films are up to 500 times better than plastics at keeping oxygen away from food. And, because they're derived from milk, they're biodegradable, sustainable, and edible. The researchers are presenting their work at the 252nd National Meeting of the American Chemical Society. Although the researchers' first attempt using pure casein resulted in a strong, effective oxygen blocker, it was relatively hard to handle and would dissolve in water too quickly. So they made a few improvements, adding citrus pectin into the blend to make the packaging even stronger and more resistant to humidity and high temperature.
Hi, my name is Zarul. Can I take some of your time?
Hi Zarul, sure.
Did you hear about edible packaging?
No. What is an edible packaging?
An edible packaging is an edible film or coating, or defined as a consumable thin layer that is positioned as barrier between any food and the surrounding environment.
Properties of an edible packaging. First, barrier to environment. Second, moisture barrier. Third, oxygen barrier. Fourth, aroma barriers. Fifth, barriers to mass transfer during food processing. Sixth, barriers of antimicrobial, antioxidant, and other food additives.
Now, let's take a look at edible film and edible coating. Food with or without coating, which one is better? Is it edible and safe for our consumption? Let me show you some examples of apple and chocolate with or without coating. Let's make a good choice. Both of these edible packaging can be defined as thin, continuous layer of edible material formed on, placed on, or between the foods or food components. For your information, edible coating has been used for centuries in order to protect food and prevent from moisture loss and add shine to the fruits and vegetables. Meanwhile, for edible film, it is produced by casting, extrusion, compression molding, and only then it applied on the foods.
Do you know what is the components of edible packaging?
I don't know.
The components of edible packaging are protein, polysaccharide, lipid, composite, and resin. First, we will look at protein. Protein is a good film formers and produced from renewable resources and degrade more readily than other types of polymeric material. It has excellent oxygen, aroma and oil barriers and provides strength and structural integrity. One of the examples is casein. Next is lipid. Lipid has good water vapor barrier properties due to low polarity, but they are relatively inflexible. One of the examples is beeswax. For polysaccharide, it has excellent oxygen, aroma, and oil barriers and provides strength and structural integrity. The example is chitosan. Lastly, composite. Polysaccharide, lipid, and protein is not very effective to stand alone, so their combination will give a better result. What is the mechanism of edible coating? The mechanisms are simple coadservation, complex coadservation, and gelation or thermal coagulation. For simple coadservation, hydrocolloid dispersed in water will be precipitated or undergoes a phase change of the solvent evaporation. For complex co-exacerbation, two hydrocolloid solutions with opposite electron charge are mixed and causing interaction and precipitation of polymer complex. For gelation or thermal coagulation, heating of macromolecules leads to its denaturation followed by gelation or precipitation, or even cooling of hydrocolloid dispersion causes gelation.
Edible packaging have their own pros and cons. The pros of edible packaging are environment friendly as fully consumed or biodegradable and recyclable. The second one is reduce the waste and solid disposal problem. The third one is enhance organoleptic properties like color and sweetness. Lastly, but not least, less stretchy and eat better at blocking oxygen. The cons of edible packaging would not be as sanitary when it is exposed to different environment and during shipping. Second is it was relatively hard to handle and it would dissolve in water too quickly. The third is may not be compatible with those consumers that suffer from food allergies such as lactose intolerant. Lastly is people may be resistant to the idea of eating packaging. The drawback of edible packaging are the edible wrap will not be used alone where unsanitary conditions during food handling can occur. Second is the new wrap are more expensive than synthetic package. However, developers believe that the nutritional and environmental advantages will justify the increased cost. Lastly is they will be used to wrap food inside a secondary synthetic package during food distribution and storage.
Edible packaging must meet with some characteristics for use in foods. The requirements for edible packaging are stable in both production and storage, have good uniform and homogeneous addition to surface of food, should control water migration both in and out of the protected food to maintain desired moisture content, should provide control over maintaining internal equilibrium of gases involved in aerobic and anaerobic respiration of foods. Lastly, edible packaging should not adversely affect the characteristics necessary for consumer acceptance such as odor, flavor, taste, and appearance. For the health safety issues regarding edible packaging, it should be safe to consume. That recognized as safe for human consumption, GRAS and FDA approved. Manufacturer must submit a food additive petition for the FDA if the material cannot be demonstrated to be GRAS.
These are some of the ideas for the future.
Edible fruit and vegetable wraps that enhance nutrition for food products could make healthy food more attractive to consumers. Besides, fruits and vegetable films could also be used to cover leftover for short-term storage in the refrigerator. Also, edible films could provide new flavor combinations. Now we have come to the conclusion. As consumers start to realize their waste contribution, there could be a shift to using edible food packaging. Nuts is also the best option to protect our environment. Besides, it can reduce waste and save our environment since the food is eaten as a whole. Overall, with the innovations, it is very useful and convenient. That's all from us. Thank you for watching.